Al DeMarco back with Steve Budin. Our last game, the Sunday night clash between two teams coming off big losses, the Eagles and Bears, who are meeting in Chicago. Of course, last Thursday, we both went against the Bears, and they dropped an ugly 10-6 decision in San Francisco. Thank you very much, Jay Cutler, thanks to those 5 interceptions. On Sunday, meanwhile, the Eagles lost their second in a row, falling at San Diego 31-23, game in which they trailed early in the third quarter, 21-6, so it really was a blowout early in this one. Steve, which way are you going to go in this one?
Well, like you said, both of these teams are struggling, and they're both looking at this game to try to change their season and turn it around. The major difference is that you have one solid team with the Eagles that simply lost his way, and one very bad team with the Bears that have gotten even worse with the addition of gunslinger Jay Cutler. Lovey, you don't have a clue, do you? Donovan McNabb, it's now or never, my man. How many years can you continue to fall short and expect to be given a free pass? You're from Chicago. You always seem to play good there. It's time to step it up. Now, you throw out last week's game against the Chargers due to that East Coast, West Coast jet lag, and I think Donovan McNabb does step it up here. I believe the Eagles' defense makes the interceptions. I believe that's the difference in this game. I'm going to back the Birds here and lay the wood.
Well, you know, last Sunday night we were both on the Patriots. This Sunday night we're going in opposite directions. You know, I am on Comcast Sportsnet Chicago TV on the Chicago Tribune live show. So needless to say, I focus a lot on the Bears. And I've won 3 straight and 4 of my last 5 picks involving Chicago, not only last week. And one thing I said at the beginning of the season in the Chicago marketplace, which made me very, very popular, that Jay Cutler has always reminded me of a young, and I preface that by saying young again, Brett Favre. He throws a bunch of interceptions one week, but he comes back, and the next week he then looks like a good Brett Favre. He throws a bunch of touchdown passes. He has that ability to forget the miserable games. Think back to week number 1 at Green Bay. I think he had a 4-interception game, and then the very next week at Soldiers Field against Pittsburgh, an exceptional second half, a great fourth quarter, and they upset the Steelers. Well, here the Bears have 2 extra days of prep, and they're taking on an injury-riddled Eagles team that is very short at linebacker, extremely short back in the secondary. I mean, this is supposedly a strength of this team, linebacker, and in the secondary, especially cornerback, but injuries have just wrecked this team defensively. And this is a team that had to play at San Diego Sunday night, had to fly back. Bears had the 2 extra days of prep, so I think that always works against them. And where the Bears are playing at home, the Eagles are taking to the road for the 2nd straight week. So I think the travel works against them. You know, the Bears did outgame the San Francisco 49ers in that game, 350 to 216 in total yards. It's just that Cutler kept throwing the ball to the wrong uniforms in that game. I think he was colorblind. Meanwhile, a couple of significant ATS trends for you. You know, the Bears are 8-1 against the spread off back-to-back straight-up and ATS losses. They're also 10-1 against the spread as a home dog off back-to-back defeats. And they've won the last 2 games in this series in dramatic fashion. So I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm sure you would encourage people to buy down the half point to take Philadelphia at -2.5. I'm going to go the other way, tell you guys to take Chicago up to 3.5. And just like last week, I would make a smaller play on the Bears to win this game outright on the money line, because right now I'm going to get the Bears at plus $1.40. So I'm also going to take a small play, as I said, on the money line as well.
And for those Westbrook fans, you know, he's not only going to be out this game, but he's in Pittsburgh right now seeing a concussion specialist. He may be out for good, and that's not good for the Eagles. They're short on players, like you said, but I think they're long on experience, they're long on pride, and they're long on toughness, and I like them in this spot.
Okay, we will see. Well, here we go. Guys, last week we agreed on every single game. This week
we had a good week, including the Monday night, went 3 for 5. Not so bad for the free picks.
Right, and we agree on New Orleans and Detroit. In the Lions case, we encourage you to buy down the half point. Meanwhile, in Washington, Dallas, Steve likes the Redskins. I'm backing the Cowboys, who I'm, of course, 5-2 going on or against this season. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Get Jessica Simpson back at the stadium.
Yeah, the thin version of Jessica. Now, as for Chicago,
Play
Philly,
linebacker.
Steve, that's bad. Steve likes the Eagles, while I'm going to go with the Bears. And again, I think they're going to win the game outright, so I'm going to go with a small money line play on Chicago as well. Guys, that'll do it for today's show. Remember, you can get all your scores, odds, injury, weather reports, and more free picks, everything you need to be a winner today from us online. And make sure you catch tomorrow's show as Steve and I break down the Tennessee-Houston Monday night matchup.